laser.
We got this green laser. It's that, control it with the
Hit
pickle on your left
Yeah,
or
hit
your
the
right
button
thumb.
with the green pickle on it.
It's just a green button.
It's
Calls
literally
it the
just
pickle on your right thumb.
I mean, how more simplistic can it be for these fucking Robot Jox? Every upgrade, it's like later on. There's one where it's like, this is gonna blind your enemy. Just hit the sun. Just hit the.
I can't help thinking, somewhere in the universe, there has to be something better than man. Has to be. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ascension To Ten.
All right, here we are. We're back.
We are back.
What the fuck's up, man?
Just, not making podcasts, I guess. It's been what's up.
So, there used to I can't remember, I don't think I've told the story, but there used to be a guy that lived in the corner of the office, and he used to always constantly be talking to his buddies from college that would call him at work. Like, this was before like kind of, IMing was a big thing and all that, like iPhones and stuff. And he used to just sit in the corner, and then every once in a while you just hear this, "What the fuck's up, man?" And it was just like, the weirdest thing to hear. And I mean, this went on for a year, just this guy doing that same thing. So it just kind of cracked me up. But
is this the same guy that would bring in a cup of coffee into the toilet?
No, different dude.
Okay.
But the same office.
Okay.
It was just a group of characters at that time. But yeah, Jad mentioned that, we haven't recorded, and I've been out with some work stuff, but that led to, I went to this conference for work, and that was all great. Had a good time, all that fun stuff. But one night we went to this place called the Werewolf, and it's a karaoke bar. And literally, when you call the place, it's called the Werewolf. When you call, it literally is, "Ow, welcome to the Werewolf." So every time,
as a pre-recorded thing, or okay, just the guy that whoever answers it's like,
it just has to.
Okay, here we go. Oh,
yeah. But it was funny because, we went there for karaoke, and it's a business trip. So, I mean, there's some sort of expectation that, you at least go out with your coworkers, have a good time. Mm-hmm. But I lost the receipt for that bar. Needless to say, there was a lot of karaoke, and there was drinks involved and all that fun stuff. So we had to call the place to get the receipt so I could get reimbursed for it for work. So I had to find out that's the pre-recording. So that was kind of a funny story from the work trip. So that was all good. But nice. I was thinking back to all the times that I've gotten to like a bar like that's like over the top, and it always brings me back to Bryan's lake cabin. And like, we all dressed up. There was one time where we all dressed up in like 80s and 90s, like zip ups, windbreakers and stuff. What are those things called? I'm like,
jumps or windsuits or tracksuits.
Windsuits, tracksuits. And there's a picture somewhere of me, and I'm wearing one of those, but I have a white shirt underneath that says "Fuck the NCAA." And I don't think I've ever told the story about this, but like back in college, I was a swimmer, and I think it was sophomore. I think it was junior year, but like we were all on, our whole team was like, trying to make it to nationals. So, that's the big thing. That's the goal. Nationals. And there's a couple of us that just missed it by like hundredths of seconds. And back then, like the NCAA, it wasn't like preset how many people would be accepted to nationals. So it's kind of like all these people make times, and then they kind of decide like how many people get to go, which is kind of stupid because like you should take the top whatever number it is.
Yeah.
So I felt like we got screwed. There was like 3 or 4 of us that didn't make it. So then, pissed off about it, go and buy one of those iron-on shirt kits, buy some white shirts, find the NCAA logo, and say, fuck the NCAA. So I just fuck and then put NCAA logo under it, and I ironed it onto a t-shirt and decided, you know what? Fuck the NCAA. And I wore it to like every party in college that year, and throughout that whole summer. And then, I mean, it was a mood point because the next year I made it, and then I think I saw you. Brother. Actually, I think I saw you and Alan.
Yeah, because you were in Minneapolis, right?
Yeah, it was in Minneapolis. Yep. So it was kind of stupid, but that whole summer I was just like, "Fuck you, NCAA." So it's kind of a little funny thing.
Did anybody else make one, or is it just you?
I'm pretty sure it was just me.
Hell yeah.
I don't think I can't think of anybody else. I'll have to check, but I think I'm the only one that actually wore the shirt. We may have made more, but that was the only one that actually decided. This is a great idea.
Yeah, you're kind of you're the guy when it comes to making shirts and stuff. Because of all of our friend trips that we've done, yes. We've made 2. Okay. The second shirt was my design.
Okay. How many fucking shirts have I designed that have never come to fruition?
I know, right? But the first one for that first outing was okay. We'll have to find a picture of it and put it up because it was, for the listeners, it's a lynx face. So we went to Brandon Valley High School, home of the Lynx, right?
Yeah.
And it was a ski trip. So Spenny found this lynx thing, and he overlaid a set of ski goggles with a beanie on top of it.
Hey, it looked pretty good, all things considered.
And then we made a word cloud thing with our initials, and we put it
just up on the shoulder,
kind of the upper shoulder, in the dumbest spot, right, to put anything. It basically looked like a chode, and then my name was forgotten, or my initials were forgotten, so I was just like the projection of this word cloud thing. And then it was tourney of 69, something's got to give, or Bonesaw Strikes Back, or something.
Yeah.
And so what was
it was in Blade Runner font.
Oh, that's right. So we get to the Airbnb, right? It's, I don't know, 12 or 14 of us, right? And then it's the first night, and Spenny, we're all just kind of around, and Spenny comes out of the room, and he's got like basically a Walmart bag, just a plastic shopping bag full of this stuff, and he's like, can I get your attention? These shirts, and then he misspoke and he said these shirts are detonated to then he couldn't finish the sentence because we all just started shitting on him for saying detonated instead of dedicated.
Oh, brother.
Man,
that was classic.
You pull off some shirts, my man.
Oh god, I love shirts.
Well, and it was you that found, or you and your mom that found the original Carbon Units bowling polos, right?
Was it?
I'm pretty sure. I think you
no idea.
Kmart or something.
Probably it was probably Lewis, because she probably got the doctor discount.
Hell yeah!
Because back then or something.
Yeah, you've been our shirt guy.
Yeah,
forever.
No, that's awesome. I'm glad that. Well, what an evolution of that story. I mean,
but, yeah,
how did we get there?
Were you gonna finish the cabin story? One thing I always found funny about that cabin was that the fact that all those tracksuits were there, because they were just there, right?
Everyone had one to fit.
Yeah.
Made no sense.
Yeah.
Like, the Weir Camp family is not a big family, but
no,
there always was ones that fit.
There were tracksuits for everyone.
Yeah, my wife and I, we both have some of those suits here. We wore them for like a Halloween, and it's like I can't get rid of them because you never know when you're gonna need one. So
you got to be prepared,
Yeah. But no, that was basically it. I didn't have much more on this. We'll save the other stories for when Bryan comes back on. If when ever.
If when. And we're sitting on that Name of the King movie and that.
Yeah, it's burning a hole in the back of my brain with that.
I mean, it's getting to a point where I don't remember much about it, and I'm not watching that again. So we're gonna have to do it soon.
We'll stumble through it. We'll find it. We'll figure it out. But
well, yeah, I don't know. Should we dive into this week's?
Shit, yeah. So this week we're doing Robot Jox. I definitely watched this as a kid, and I seem to remember thinking it was way cooler than it is. Or,
I mean, I can see you liking it because it's kind of Power Ranger-ish with the big, suit up sequence. It's not even a suit up sequence, but it's kind of a robot.
Well, yeah, it's like, I mean, it's this one person kind of controlling the robot, and like their motions are affecting how the robot moves and stuff. Actually, it's kind of like an early version of what's that one with
Pacific Rim, right?
Well, Pacific Rim too, and then what's that?
You're thinking of Real Steel, right?
Real Steel, but yeah, Pacific Rim's better. Yeah,
I didn't realize. So I don't remember this movie at all. I don't think I've ever heard of it. But Pacific Rim is just a direct ripoff of this thing.
Yeah, totally.
It's obviously better.
Yeah.
This one was rough.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll give you. So they had a $10 million budget, which back in 1989 was pretty big.
Wow.
But the box office opening weekend it made 400,000. Total it made 1.2 million, and the company that started it, Empire Productions, went bankrupt while doing it. So they put all their money into this film.
Oh,
it fell apart, and they had to get picked up by another production company to get it finished. So they recorded it. They finished it in 1987, but it never actually went to theaters till 1989 because they went bankrupt, and like people had to pick up the pieces to get it together. So,
wow,
brutal. But yeah, let's see.
Holy smokes!
I got a synopsis, and then let's do it.
Let's just jump into
fucking do it. Excuse me. In this limbic version of Pacific Rim, two world superpowers battle over territorial disputes by using giant robots called Robot Jox. In this never-ending void of cohesive story, you follow an American named Achilles, who's the best fighter for America. He is set to battle against Alexander, who is a Russian who's won 9 times in a row. They move around in like AT-ATs on the planet Hoth while they're standing people screaming as they get stomped on. Eventually, Achilles and Alexander's robots touch. Immediately, Achilles' robot falls onto fans sitting in a desert and kills them like Danny Rojas killing the dog in Ted Lasso. Achilles swears he will never fight again. His replacement, Athena, climbs a jungle gym and becomes the fighter. Being a misogynist, Achilles says, nah, and decides to fight again. Athena is pissed. He came back. She decides to sedate him, pull out every single wire out of the wall in his apartment. Athena gets into the Robot Jox and gets her ass kicked. Achilles, trapped in his apartment, uses a handheld radio to drive his flying car and busts him out. Eventually, he fights Alexander, goes to space, crashes to the ground, and the movie ends by Achilles and Alexander thumbing each other.
Oh, nicely done. I'm not sure if we need to add any more to that.
I mean, there's a few things that we missed,
yeah,
but I mean, this the whole premise of this is like the intro is 50 years after a nuclear holocaust almost destroyed all mankind, and the two countries remaining are America and Russia. How does that make sense, considering they are the ones with the most nuclear weapons? Wouldn't you most likely assume
they just started taking out all the other little countries? It's like, neither one of us get that, and you don't get that.
Yeah.
Don't touch each other, though. By the way, so this is obviously a voiceover giving some exposition here.
Yeah.
He couldn't be more bored with the lines that he was reading, right? It's like, 50 years after the nuclear winter and stuff, it was like war was outlawed. And I guess we'd fight with big robots and stuff. It's just so apathetic about giving the background for this movie. But
yeah, it was also funny because the opening scene is just kind of like this pan over of like ice. I think it's Alaska, or is it Siberia or something?
I said Siberia.
Whatever.
So yeah,
but it's like, so you see one robot like kind of like just falls to the ground, and the guy gets out, and it's like, okay, I've lost. Like, Alexander, give it up. And the judge is there's like a floating judge between the two robots, and they're like, that's enough, Alexandra. There's nothing. He's given up. You don't need to do any more. And it's just like Alexander just fucking
stomps him.
Yeah. And there's no recourse. Like, there's no repercussions for what he does. It literally
does not matter. Those refs were so hilarious because there was useless. 3 of them, and they hovered around on this little tripod platform, and it was like
those tilt-a-whirls. Like they were strapped in.
Right. It was just a strap on their shoulders, right?
Yes.
A rigid strap thing, but they were all wearing zebra stripe, referee
like real
shirts,
refs,
but foam helmets, the kind of helmets you would wear if you were sparring or something.
Yeah,
foam helmets. They hover around up in the like hundreds of feet up in the air, and they have foam helmets, and they just, oh god, it was so funny. But okay, the opening scene is like Spenny said, in the Siberian winter wasteland, right? Just the abyss of anything, any kind of society and civilization. But then when they actually show other robots fighting, it's in the middle of a desert, and it's not cold anymore.
Yeah, it's
and there's huge
Death
bleachers
Valley
and stuff. Yeah.
It implies that like all these people that are in the grandstands like have no money. So how the fuck did they get to the desert and drag all these people to this desert for this random fight in the middle of nowhere?
Well, okay, and also, so each country is in charge of building a robot and training someone to pilot it.
Yeah.
And they're in both, it's very secretive, and there's espionage with what upgrades the robots are going to get, right?
Yeah.
And the robots are built and operated underground in these huge bunkers.
Mm-hmm.
But then they have to rise up out of the ground to do their fighting. And then it's just the two robots are just kind of a couple hundred yards away from each other. So both countries have these secret bases underground right next to each other.
Yeah, probably connected.
Yeah. And then it's the middle of the desert, but there's thousands of people there to watch.
Yeah, it does not make any sense. And also, like, it's the quintessential. So Achilles is like the starfighter, but he's not the one that gets smashed in the opening scene. But he's like the next fighter up.
Yeah,
and he has this like mentor named Tex, who of course is a cowboy, has a southern drawl from Texas.
Big old fat guy.
And like one of the first lines in the whole movie is this Tex guy is just like, bastard didn't have to kill him. Just like it was just I don't know. There's just multiple times where Tex was just kind of saying this weird stuff, but
yeah. So they, so I guess there's all right. The world is ravaged, right, by nuclear holocaust. There's nothing left, and
everyone's wearing masks unless you live underground outside, right? Yeah.
Yep. The air sucks to breathe. Everyone has to wear masks, and there's no food. There's overcrowded and stuff, and yet, well, no, it's not overcrowded yet because there's a kind of a throwaway line where Achilles' sister says, "Oh, I'm pregnant again," or whatever, just trying to do my part. And she's had like 8 other kids or something.
Yeah.
And so from the ashes of a nuclear winter, the world comes together, outlaws war, which how do you enforce that? Right?
Build robots.
I mean, logically, how do you enforce outlawing war?
I don't know. I had one of the questions.
Somebody starts a war. It's
what do you
do in response?
One of the questions I had is like, so the guy that is ultimately developing all these robots is Morimoto or Matsumoto.
Yeah.
And it's like he's literally the only Japanese person in this whole fucking film. So was he just taken prisoner for this? What?
Oh. So the world comes together, right? And decides, what, we can decide things peacefully from now on. Sure. And instead of, using technology to make food stable and whatever, right? They make giant fucking robots and hover cars. They fly around in hover cars and yet have paved streets that they land on. And
hey, the budget was only so much, okay? It's not like you could.
Okay. So
to be clear, there was one flying car because you never saw another.
There was, and it was so flimsy. It was a door that, of course, opened up, right?
Right.
And it was so flimsy. It was just kind of like flopped around every time they used it.
It looked like you and me building a cardboard car that flipped up, and you just put aluminum foil on the outside.
Yeah. And he gets in, and it's like 2 buttons or something, and it's this weird platform where his feet goes, and the chair. It's just the dumbest thing.
It literally was.
Dude. So okay, he gets in. It's time for his fight, Achilles' fight, right? Because there's, it sounds like there's a schedule. Whether there's a conflict or not, there's just always going to be a fight, a robot fight.
It's like entertainment meets, world domination. You just have to stay on schedule for territories.
Because the whole film revolves around a fight to decide the
fate of
ownership
Alaska.
Of Alaska.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's right.
And they're like, we got to keep it because of minerals and we got to keep it. Right?
Timber, minerals and timber.
Timber.
What are we gonna do without that timber?
Okay, every single part of this set was made out of be made out of concrete and paper, and they needed
the
that
apartment
timber boy.
Yeah. I mean, geez.
Okay, so they get him set up. So it's his turn to fight, and they only. It's very odd because it sounds like the Robot Jox, the pilots, are somewhat chosen and or are volunteers or something.
Yeah.
But they're obligated to fight 10 times.
That's their contract.
If they survive. They're contracted to fight 10 times. And Achilles is this hot shot, whatever. He's the best that America has.
He's also natural born.
That's right.
Yeah.
So there's all this talk of tubies.
Damn tubies. Yeah, there's so like very early on in the movie they're talking about tubies because Achilles is the only like natural born, robot jock, and then the rest of the guys that are and girl that are competing with him to take his place once he, his contract's up or he loses or whatever, they're the first like generation of tubies, which are basically just, born outside of a natural womb, but they're still human. But, there's this animosity towards them. But there is a funny line about they're talking about these tubies and stuff. And then, the scientist is like, well, you know what? You've got great genes. So we need to, I'd appreciate if you would provide some raw materials and then hands him a tube to jizz in. And he's just like, well, maybe I can just skip the process and make a direct deposit.
Well, he also is pointing at the only woman there. It's like, that stuff just doesn't age well, right?
No, it was super uncomfortable.
But
she's like half his age, too.
Yeah, so. It also wasn't exactly clear. He's training with a bunch of other fighters that are younger than him,
right?
And they say that, damn tubies. And then the doctor comes in, the scientist comes in and explains, we are going to make what you call tubies. They are going to be bred to be the best fighters. We have to do this because we know the Russians are going to make their own.
Yeah, something. Yeah.
So are the other people there tubies or not? Because it sounds like she's in the process of making them.
They kept calling them tubies, so that's why I was like.
But then she's like,
but
we got to make them.
The thing that was weird is that they all had like the same haircut.
Yeah,
so that was kind of the impression. Is like these are all tubies because they're all whatever. I don't know.
Okay, so it's time for him to fight, right? And they apparently, so every single fight is a robot with upgrades.
Right?
And this shit just happens overnight, apparently. Literally.
Yeah.
They get new weapons and
they
stuff.
Just have it in their back pocket. Whatever engineer or doctor is running the robot decides, we got to test out this new upgrade in this fight.
And maybe we should paint the picture here. These robots are like 30 stories tall. They're skyscraper-sized robots. Right?
Yeah.
And they're just throwing on upgrades to these in no time. And
easy.
He's getting set up for his fight. And the engineer was talking to him and saying, all right, he says, all right, what's new? He gets in there and then asks, what's new? Right?
Yeah.
And they're like giving him the rundown of lasers and missiles and stuff. And at one point, did you hear
the
him
green
say,
laser?
We got this green laser. It's that, control it with the pickle on your left.
Yeah, hit the button with the green pickle on it.
It's just a green button. He calls it the pickle on your right thumb.
I mean, how more simplistic can it be for these fucking Robot Jox? Every upgrade, it's like later on, there's one where it's like, this is gonna blind your enemy. Just hit the sun. Just hit the button with the sun on it.
This control area is an entire room in this robot, right? And there's switches everywhere. But apparently the only thing
they can't fucking reach anything except these two little.
And you can't reach anything, and all they ever control is the fucking pickle on their thumbs, right?
Yeah, they're always they're like looking at their hand, like, huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah. And okay, so there's this robot, Achilles robot, is ascending from the ground, right? And it just takes fucking forever for this scene to progress.
Forever.
Right?
It takes way too long to be a movie.
And there's docking clamps and everything, and there's a whole gantry full of scaffolding that has to be cleared out of the way, but it's just there's no evidence of it once the robot is up above ground.
Right.
But did you notice the last thing to get disconnected for his robot was a set of clamps that were just in the robot's ass? Like,
yeah,
it had to come out of its ass.
But it's also, I mean, after the clamps come out of its ass, it's like he starts walking. So it's like the ground, the where under his feet is just like this metal piece, and he's wearing like metal shoes. So it's like, it's kind of like making contact in a bumper car on the ceiling. Yeah. Like that's his fucking feet. Yeah. And it's just like slow motion, just like
so slow. Okay, you see Achilles.
So fucking slow.
So you see Achilles training for martial arts, right? That's all he's doing when he trains, is just to kind of do some pseudo karate taekwondo stuff, right? It never ever looks like that when they're in the robots. Ostensibly, they're training so that they can have hand-to-hand combat with these robots, despite having all just a bunch of heat-seeking missiles and lasers and, you know, sun rays and stuff. They need to be trained to do hand-to-hand combat in these robots. And the most that it ever progresses towards that is they kind of kick each other once.
Why no? It's literally training, like it was literally like it all builds up to like each one of them just kind of uses their secret, you know, upgrades, and they just kind of hit each other with their lasers and stuff. And it's kind of like, but then they touch each other, and that's like one just fucking falls over. I mean, that was ostensibly the whole fight. Like, finally they get together, and you're thinking there's going to be like some sort of like fist battle between two robots. No. And it's just one hits the other one, and the other one falls onto grandstands. No. It's just that's it.
If either one of their secret weapons didn't work, and then it was just whoever gets the first punch. That's it. Missiles don't matter. Laser beams don't matter. It's just a punch.
Yeah.
And okay, so
did you notice how different the robot he first fights in versus the second robot he fights in?
It's a completely different robot.
It is totally different. All of a sudden he has tracks on the second one.
I know.
That's not even an upgrade they talk about. Just all of a sudden has tracks. It has tank tracks on it.
God. What happens is he loses a knee or something, right? He gets shot in the knee. Or this is after he crashes from space, right?
Yeah, his fucking Achilles gets shot.
Yeah, okay.
Namesake.
So, yeah. Okay, so Achilles is the guy for America, right? And he's fighting Alexander, who is the guy for Russia.
Right.
And he gets his fucking ass destroyed by Alexander.
Both times. Like, it's not even a competition. Alexander just whoops the shit out of him.
And
it's not even close.
The pickle-controlled green laser does literally nothing, because Alexander just does one of these, and it pings off of his gauntlet or whatever.
Yeah, it reflects a laser that only goes halfway. How does that even make sense?
The light just dies.
What is it? The laser loses steam?
Yeah.
Because he's using a mirror?
Okay.
Does it get a half-life after you hit it?
Like Alexander has his secret weapon is having armor paint that just changes the speed of light, and but only for green lasers, right?
Totally. Just green lasers.
So, okay, it's getting to the climax of this fight, right? And this is to decide Alaska. And Alexander, as a last-ditch effort, I think Achilles was maybe coming back a little bit, but Alexander decides to launch his secret weapon, which was just his fist, became a rocket ship, and it flew out of his arm.
Yeah,
and for some reason, did he intentionally try to shoot the crowd?
I think
Either way, I don't know.
I think he was. I think there was an intention there because it made so that Achilles had to come over and like save it.
Yeah. So he's one of the sets of bleachers has now a gigantic robot's fist rocket propelled towards it, right?
Why are the stands so close?
They're literally right next to them, right?
I mean, if one falls over, you're dead. So
what ends up happening is Achilles tries to intercept the fist and gets hit by the fist and takes out the entire bleacher section. He does more damage than the fist would have had he just let it go, right? We're talking an entire set of bleachers and everybody on it gone. And there's carnage and mayhem, and he's like, you know, his whole suit is wrecked and stuff. So he's trying to climb out of the cockpit, and he's like looking down over, and there's like people without faces and stuff. And
there's one part where it's just obviously just like this melted wax face of like somebody going like, and then they run off the screen, and you're like, oh,
and so then, you know, it's a crash zoom on Achilles' face, and he's trying to cry and stuff, and so then
just devastation.
Somehow Alexander got taken out a little bit too. Somehow, I don't know. It doesn't matter. But then there's this a meeting with the refs afterwards to decide, because the refs are the one who decide the outcome of the battle, and therefore whatever was being disputed, right?
Yeah.
So they're kind of political magistrates in a way, and they're neutral third parties, but they're just referees, right? In zebra stripe shirts and fucking foam helmets and stuff.
That's right.
Yeah. Deciding matters of state. And they said, so the whole argument for Achilles by the US president or whoever, it doesn't matter, says, you know, Alexander did a cheap shot by trying to take out citizens, and Alexander saved everybody. So obviously we won. And the refs is like, you know, they convene and stuff. And you're like, look, our job is simple. Whoever wins, wins. And it literally doesn't matter that 3,000 people got killed.
That is completely irrelevant.
It's irrelevant.
They literally say Achilles trying to save people is irrelevant. The whole situation is irrelevant.
Alexander using an illegal mod, irrelevant. This was a draw. And we're going to fight again tomorrow. and Achilles is like, this is at a press conference, right? And Achilles said, not me.
Nope.
Right? That was my 10th fight.
That was my 10th fight. I'm done.
And so he just leaves. After the president says, no, it doesn't work that way. You got to finish the fight. And he goes, read my contract. And then the president says, you can't read. And the guy says, oh. And then there's...
Cut to the bar.
Cut to the bar.
That's
how it went, right? He's like, yeah, no, I don't have to.
That's exactly.
I fought 10 times, and like it's in my contract. And the president says, "You can't read." How do you know what it says?
That's where it literally ends like that, and then it cuts to a bar. It's just like, it reminds me of the bar from, oh gosh, I can't even think of what that movie is. The Space Theater one.
Yeah. I thought the same exact thing.
Yeah, but it's
yeah.
So Achilles is there just drinking. Like, they keep naming the drinks by like A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Like apparently, how many drinks you have is like alphabet.
I think because he can't read, so he's trying to learn how to read by learning an alphabet with the number of drinks he has.
But the bartender, like, Achilles has had multiple drinks, and he's like, "Give me another one." And the bartender's just like, "Law says I can't serve anyone drunk. You are one drunk guy." And that was like, okay.
And meanwhile, everybody's dancing poorly in the background, and it's just so 80s, right? With the just the weird dancing that was going on back then, right?
Yeah, super awkward.
Alexander comes in, and you know, there's almost a fight, right? And And then the fight gets broken up and the scene ends. But right before the scene ends, somebody in the background says, "Get back to dancing." All right, everyone, get back to dancing.
Did you notice that every time this stupid Alexander guy walks in, the music and sound just is silent? Like it's like just Alexander and Achilles just talking to each other.
Yeah.
Like there's no background noise, and it makes it so uncomfortable in a bar situation.
Totally.
Like you would anticipate like people are still talking in the background, but it's just no. Silence.
They stop talking and they stop moving. It's not even they're trying to do. They're not
Everyone's
even trying to do
like,
extra stuff, right?
Freeze dance.
Director said, "Shut up, quiet on the set. We don't have sound editors to cut you guys out. So shut up,
just silence."
I'm doing this in my garage. God damn it! I don't have time for this.
It literally was. But then so it basically ends with, Achilles is retiring, Alexander's walking off, and, there's this part where, so Achilles is retired, right? So he is wearing this giant, like, white suit coat, now he's finally in his flying car.
Yep.
And this is the scene where he was talking to his sister-in-law with all the babies. And like all the billboards as he's walking are pregnant moms or just women with babies. It's like everything is like, please procreate because we do not have enough children.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That was it. And okay, he's retired, right? He gets home, wherever that is.
Mm-hmm.
He sees a press conference that they named the next Robot Jox. It's Athena. The girl that he kind of likes or doesn't like, or it's kind of weird. And he immediately leaves. He was gone for less than a day. And
well, that's when this stupid challenge was. It was literally. Yeah. There is a jungle gym in a Mission Impossible white room, and at the top there is an opening that's red, and everyone has to try and climb up it. It shakes. Sometimes the bars are just like fire. They electrocute you. They are water. Like you just slide off and stuff. And she just happened to be the lucky one. Sometimes they just fall off.
Yep.
And that was the challenge to decide who's the next Robot Jox. Which had nothing to do with
just nothing even comes close to what they would do in that Robot.
Well, it was just like the training too. Like what? Like I get being in battle and combating, but these Robot Jox, when you see it in action, like has nothing to do with like actual fighting.
They just stumble around. Right?
Yeah, like
and not to mention, okay, we're saying that they train and do martial arts and stuff, but in reality, what they're doing on camera is exactly what it looks like. Two young kids trying to like pretend to do karate, right?
Or kids.
That's what the choreography is,
or kids just learning to walk. I mean, frankly, it's just two kids learning to walk by each other.
They're doing this and stuff, right? And it's just. Looks insane, and then they're just kind of walking around each other, right? And then at one point he throws Achilles says, "I quit." The president says, "You can't do that." The Achilles says, "Okay, I quit." And he leaves. He comes back the next day, says, "I'm back." And Athena, who was awarded the position, gets pissed. Comes to his room. They fight.
She sedates him. She jabs him with the sedator.
That's the next fight, though. Somehow they fight when he comes back.
Oh, yeah.
And he basically is like throws her on the bed and is going to try and assault her and stuff. And then she kicks him in the nuts and leaves. Right? And then...
That's the same fight.
It is? Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had one big fight. And there was a part where she sedates him and you think, he's going to fall down. But then it ends up into a 10-minute battle of just doesn't matter that I'm sedated in any way. I'm just going to keep fighting you. Yeah.
10-year-old kids kind of slapping around and stuff, right? And
but she keeps pulling out all the cords. Like she literally pulls out every wire out of the wall.
Out
if
of the
there is
paper
a
walls,
wire in the if there's a wire in these paper walls, she just ripped out every single one.
Okay. She sedates him. He then falls asleep. Finally, he wakes up.
Yeah. Yep.
All of the phones are out. The video conferences are out, or the video phones are out. And she locks him in his own house from the outside somehow.
By pulling more wires.
Yep. And at one point they crash through the paper walls and stuff, so there's a giant hole in the wall.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, all of this happens underground because that's where the secret robots are made, and that's where their dorms are or whatever while they're there.
Yeah.
And so he can't get out through the door. The walls are fucking paper, right? And one of the walls is gone. So he walks over to that wall, and you see him look down as though he's way up in the sky, right? Oh shit, I can't get out of here because I crash and burn to earth, even though I'm underground, right?
Yeah.
So
just a cool 20 stories underground. No big deal.
And so then somehow he flies that fucking flying car again through a system of caves
straight through. It's not like it comes up and then down. It just flies straight through. So is this some like
underground the whole time?
Is this a biodome kind of situation? Is it just the whole thing underground?
My God. And he gets there, and then at some point it turns out that America keeps losing because there's a spy giving the Russians all of their secret weapons in advance so they can get countermeasures and stuff. And it turns out it's text because the Russians have money, baby.
Yep.
And so he kills the head engineer, blames him as the spy.
Matsumoto.
It literally doesn't matter until he gets caught, and then he runs away and swan dives.
This is amazing.
Out into the hangar area where the robot is.
Yeah. So Athena has tranquilized Achilles. She's in the robot to do the Robot Jox to go up. As she's going up, they realize, wait, that's not Achilles. That's somebody else. So they stop the platform, and she's like, well, screw you. I'm just going to use the robot and climb out. So there's just one part where the guy she's climbing up, and there's one guy, and the guy goes, "Ah, shit!" And then a foot comes flying through the glass, and he dives out of the way, and then Athena goes to the top, and then they find out that Tex did this, and that is the exact spot where Tex is like, "Catch me if you can, motherfucker!" It just swan dives out of the thing and dies. It was just so ridiculous.
I saw that and I thought, okay, are they intentionally trying to introduce cohesion, right? Because spatial cohesion with this underground system of tunnels and stuff, because yes, they purposely or not even animated, puppeteered this robot puppet to have a foot crash through this wall.
Yeah.
It left a gaping hole in this underground tunnel.
Huge hole, yeah.
And it happens to be the same, Tex couldn't die any other way than through that motherfucking hole. We're going to have to bring this hole back, and it's going to be how Tex kills himself or dies. Right?
Budgets are tight. We got to make this work.
It's just one of those things where you could easily miss it too, right? You could easily miss the fact that was the same hole generated by Athena climbing out of an underground fucking huge ass bunker cabin with a 30-story robot. And the random scene where she puts her foot through some glass. My goodness.
It was I was gonna say that the only other thing I'll say is this line. So Achilles comes back, right? So they're back at the bar. Alexander shows up again. Music stops playing. Everyone stops talking. And the line that Achilles uses to Alexander is he's like, I think Alexander's talking to Achilles about I look forward to battling you or something like that. And Achilles says, I wish I could say the same. You're making my beer curdle.
Yeah.
What?
It's just
what
the fuck does that line mean?
What are you talking about?
And
It's
just that's not a saying, right?
No, you can't even. Yeah, beer can't curdle.
Yeah.
There's nothing. There's literally nothing in it that would make it solidify. It was just like, oh my gosh.
Oh god.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Whatever writer that the writer for that line must have thought of that and just thought, God, this is genius. I gotta get this in.
Fucking nailed it. This is a perfect one-liner.
Maybe that writer was sitting on this thing for 10 years, right? He's like, he came up with that a decade before this movie even was in a brain cell, and he
this
thought,
is
this
it,
whole
man.
time I gotta put this in a movie. The world needs to hear this line, and it comes out in Robot Jox. It's like, make my beer curdle. And
So
it's mostly
terrible.
forgotten until we brought it up now.
But yeah, so I mean, besides that, so the epic battle between Alexander and at the beginning Athena, and
this is the rematch. Right?
Yeah, so
rematch.
Yeah, Achilles is still trapped in his bunker because all the wires are out of his room, and so Tex kills the engineer because the engineer realized Tex is the one giving all the secrets to Russia. So he's like, I'm not going to let anybody know about the upgrades for this next battle until we get in the actual robot. Mm-hmm. And so when they get in the robot, he has a recording of himself, including that Tex shot him. So it's like, hey, use the sun little notification button and you'll blind your enemy for up to 90 seconds and then cut to Tex killing me. And that was the video.
Oh, man.
I mean, she uses it. So Athena is battling Alexander, and she
also
uses
getting her ass kicked,
just demolished. And she uses the thing and blind up to 90 seconds. It blinded Alexander for literally 3 seconds, and then he just started pounding the literal shit out of her.
Nothing happened to him. He got so pissed that he went berserk, right? And we have to mention at this point, right? This is the next day or the day after at most.
Yeah.
Not only do the Americans have a completely different robot, right?
Completely.
The Russians also have a modded robot, except this time it's four-legged. But not in the way you think, right? Not in the way of any kind of four-legged animal where the body's long, right?
You're right.
It's like 2 sets of legs. This is a robot with 4 like octopus. It's like half an octopus, right? And it walks like this, and it's so fucking stupid. And then at one point, it's like a cavity around its dick opens up, and it's like a gigantic chainsaw comes out of where its dick is. It's like, right? So Athena immediately, right? She's the best of the tubies, right? The only one to survive the jungle gym, and she gets annihilated. Keep in mind, the refs only care about who wins these stupid fights.
Right.
Athena is basically, she's unconscious. She's practically dead. Right?
Yes.
The robot's on the ground. The robot's toast. And then Achilles comes in his hover car. So the hover car, it brought Achilles from the base to his sister's house, back to the base, crashed through his house, and then he went back to his apartment, right, to get into the car again, to then go out to the battlefield. And he just walks up there and says, no, I'm going to fight now. As the ref tripod comes and is like, they're like, Achilles, you won. So, congrats and stuff. This is over. And he goes, no, I haven't killed her yet, so I'm going to kill her. And they like, you won.
You don't need to. She's incapacitated. Right? Don't need to do that.
Alexander just fucking curb stomps the ref's little cheese
just
hovercraft,
crushes
you know? And so then Alexander or Achilles shows up at that moment as well, and just like getting in the cockpit and stuff.
Well, yeah,
And
this is the classic line. This is the one line I remember as a kid. And it's like, I'm gonna get in this thing, Alexander. I'm gonna kick your ass.
Yeah. And at this point, it's like, are there any fucking rules? Does any of this matter?
The refs don't do anything.
The refs don't do anything. They're kind of dead at this point. And so what is the point of continuing any of this? America lost. It's now getting a second fighter for the one fight that was going to be used to determine where Alaska goes.
You know what? You know what they have to do? Go to space.
Go to space. So Achilles gets in the fucking busted ass robot and just flies out to fucking space.
He just launches into space.
Achilles does the same thing.
Hey man, you gotta give him credit in space. The launch rocket hits Achilles and it doesn't make a sound. So I'm pretty sure there's no sound in space. So
that's right.
Credit where credit is due.
But let's think about what Achilles' plan here is. He wants to kill Alexander. He's got one shot. He leaves the planet. Achilles follows him, shoots him down immediately with a missile.
Yeah.
Achilles crashes back to Earth in the exact same spot where they were.
He crashed horizontally. Did you notice that?
He crashed like this. We're talking about, picture a giant robot body when the lands on its belly with the arms behind him and stuff.
Yeah.
And the leg is busted. So then he turns into a tank where his legs are kind of tracked, but then he's just sitting up. It's like a tank chair that moves around. And
it's like you sitting on your legs, like and then you just
out in front of you, right?
Yeah, you just sliding on a scooter.
Yeah.
Like one of those gym scooters that we used to have as kids, right?
So Achilles, Alexander has all four legs. He's got his chainsaw dick. He's got every single weapon. He's taken no damage, right?
Well, he did lose his launching arm, his launching hand. Remember that did get cut off. Right.
Yeah.
So that's the one damage that they did to him.
And so Achilles is just kind of like, in his robot, and Alexander
it's like a
has
remote control car.
Missiles and stuff, and he's just like pounding the ground. Achilles couldn't be going any slower, right? And Alexander can't hit shit.
It's so boring. So boring.
So stupid, so boring. Achilles goes. This is where the chainsaw dick comes out, right?
Yeah. So this is where it comes out.
It's like, all of a sudden I'm metamorphosized, right? And like tank tracking around, and he goes underneath Alexander's robot's crotch, and then
like he keeps missing.
Dick comes out.
That's because Alexander keeps missing him somehow with the guns or whatever. So he's just like, you know what? I'm just going to use raw force. Here's my chainsaw dick.
Cuts it in half, and again Alexander's toast. So then he has to get out of his robot. He finds the claw that was ejected the first time that Alexander sent into the crowd. Right, it's just laying around.
I love how you call them both Alexander. Keep yelling about Alexander.
It's like, might as well, right? It makes as much sense as the actual movie. So Achilles goes to the claw. We're talking about fucking robotics and rocketeering, and
where is the power coming from?
Where's the power? All Achilles does, he's like hotwires this fucking thing. It launches up out of the dirt. And I guess
like it's been mounted to launch. Like, I'm just imagining like something just sitting on the ground and like floppy, and then just having power launch to it. Like, would it go just straight up? No, it would just like go.
It's just a heat seeker directly for Alexander's chest, right?
Just.
And the one thing that the Russia's robot can't defend against is itself, apparently, because it's the only thing that can take it out. That's some busted ass hand, right? And so then it's like
whole thing explodes.
Fireballs, huge explosion, and Achilles is just like and then Alexander comes out. He's not dead. Now it's actual hand-to-hand combat outside of the robot suits. And at this point, like if anybody's watching this, right? It's how would they see anything?
Random just bars of random shit from Alexander's robot that are laying on the ground.
Yeah. They're like trying to kill each other and stuff. And then Achilles just says, you know what? Come on, can we knock it off? Right?
Yeah.
And
come on, guys.
They do this.
It's literally this. And they put
the movie ends.
They fist their hands together with their thumbs up. And that's the end of the movie. And you just go, what?
What? Because apparently this is they have a phrase. Robot Jox have a phrase, right? It's kick them up or something, right?
Thumbs up, bums up.
And at no point. Okay, so someone does this to Achilles at one point. Oh, it's Athena, right? She does this. And Achilles says, "No, I can't do that. I'm not a robot jock anymore." That was the only time you see this dumb thumb thing. Yeah. And then the last thing you see of this movie is douche. And that's it. And
the end.
So is this world peace now? I don't know. Is it the next two Robot Jox that come out?
I don't know, man.
Who cares? Doesn't matter. You know.
They did talk about having a second Robot Jox come out. It was the same writer and stuff, but it just obviously nothing came to fruition after this movie came out. So, oh, brother, it was brutal. And this is one of those movies. I think I'm pretty sure. So Robot Wars and Robot Jox, I think, all came out at the same time, and the premise is almost very similar.
Okay.
And they actually shared one of the characters, Danny Makakona, who plays Dr. Masamoto.
Okay.
He is in both of those, and the premise is basically the same. Like they're fighting each other.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
he's like the engineer, and they fight each other. So it's like. Okay, so it came out a couple of years after, but it has the same premise. I mean, essentially, it's crazy how similar those two are. So, I don't know. This movie was just
but I fell asleep so many times during this. It
was brutal.
It was so bad.
We watched it with ads too.
I know, and I posted this in the chat today. I saw the same ad every single break, and it was for this new new airline in Nashville. And it's this super casual, like, hey, come and beat the crowds and like fly on our, tiny ass planes and shit. And like, come to JSX Nashville. And the whole thing was like, there's a couch and a hanger and some bro walking in with a old timey set of golf clubs.
Yeah.
And like that were 100 years old set of golf clubs, and that's cool here, right? You can do that on airlines. And I just kept seeing this stupid ad every single time.
Was there a direct flight somewhere?
Yeah, so I looked it up. Out of Nashville, they have 3 direct flights. One is to Dallas, one is to Destin, Florida, and somewhere random in New York. That's
cool.
Where you can go on this.
Cool.
Yep.
Sounds sweet, man. I just kept getting at. Oh God, I don't even know what I don't even think I paid attention to the ads. Couldn't even tell you.
Yeah.
Well,
that's the right experience for ads.
Well, yeah. I mean, so this is the Ascension to 10 podcast. So we do rate movies on an 11-point scale. Ascension being the worst thing you've ever seen, 10 being the greatest thing you've ever seen. As always, we have to give this a score. Jad,
you know what I'm going to do, babe.
You know what you're going to do,
Ascension.
This is an Ascension. Agreed.
Yep.
Lockstep.
So bad. So stupid.
There was also, so one of the things is in this film, throughout the film, there is this guy it's like a newscast guy, similar to like Death Race 2000.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like so in Death Race, he was kind of funny, like over the top. Yeah. This one, it was like the serious, like,
I think it was
there was a battle and
this was the same narrator, the voiceover guy, right?
Yeah, I think it was.
Intro.
Yeah, but it was just like this guy was just the worst. Like, it's just the way he delivered it. It was just didn't make any sense.
So dumb.
But
yeah. So our next one is a recommendation from, well, hopefully soon to be fan, right? You were
So
right?
part of the work trip, we're talking about movies and stuff, and worked with a new coworker named Chris, and he gave us this one that's called The Velocipaster. I don't know. The premise of this is basically after losing his parents, a priest travels to China, and he inherits this mysterious ability to turn himself into a dinosaur. So, so we are going to review that next time.
Oh man, hell yeah!
I can't wait. I mean,
I know
the budget on this one was $11,000, so buckle up.
Hell yeah!
And it came out in like 2018, 2019. So
yeah, I'm excited.
This will be fun. But yeah, that's great. I'm looking forward to it. Glad we got this one in too.
Yep.
Appreciate everyone listening. I know we've been off for a couple of weeks, so it's good to be back.
We got whatever's going on behind us though.
Turbo green screen,
which I assume is something cool.
Yeah,
don't know what that is yet.
Probably something eating your face or something.
Yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed that. Make sure you check us out on our YouTube channel to see what we're talking about here.
The Ascension To Ten podcast channel on YouTube. I mean, you can also find us at Ascension To Ten on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And then you can also support us on Patreon. I think it's Ascension 8 to 10. Patreon / 8 to 10. It's in the description. Folks. Just check it out.
We appreciate you watching if you made it this far or listening.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. As always, he's Jad. I'm Spenny.
Bye.
Bye.
Welcome to Ascension To Ten.